Hello fellow Whovians, you know what time it is. It's time for me to review Doctor Who and Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. I'm a little bewildered about this episode. Right after watching it, I couldn't decide if I just hated it or if I loved it. I do have quite a few complaints about it though, so maybe by the end of this video I will have re-examined it enough to give it a rating. Okay, shoot me for complaining about something so trivial as the title of the episode, but I still don't like how a pronoun like the TARDIS is used in the title of the episode, because the original series seldom, if ever, did this. I know it's silly, but I just don't like how the new series titles episodes directly referencing the Doctor or his companion. The Doctor dances, the Doctor's daughter, the next Doctor, the Doctor's wife, and so on. Second complaint with this episode. Way too much shaky cam. I know it's a trend that's caught on in the film industry in the last 10 years, but I don't like it. It looks sloppy and it makes it seem like they were in a rush to shoot the scene. Speaking of film technique, it was obvious that the blurred filters was used in all of the zombie scenes just to cover up the fact that it's just a rubber suit. That looked horrible. Plus, there was no practical explanation for why everything looks blurry whenever one of the zombies was nearby. And actually, that whole time zombie thing was just stupid to me. That element was only in the story so that this episode would have a monster. It wasn't enough that Clara was lost running around in the TARDIS. No, she had to be in peril. And by peril, I mean she had to be chased by a monster. They sounded like roaring lions to me. Probably one of the things that I hated the most about this episode was that the synopsis said that Clara was trapped in the bowels of the TARDIS and it was up to the Doctor and the salvage crew to get her out before the self-destruct activated. This ends up being half the episode. They start out searching for Clara, and it just felt like halfway through, Stephen Thompson thought, I can't stretch this out for 45 minutes and keep it interesting. So he resolves that issue and then introduces a new plot. The second half of this episode was a completely different story, because not only did it have nothing to do with finding Clara in the bowels of the TARDIS, but we branch off on yet another irrelevant, pointless, meaningless subplot about one of the salvage crew who's introduced as an android ends up not being an android. He's actually the kid brother. What the hell was the point of that subplot? At the beginning of the episode, when you introduced him as an android, I didn't think anything else of it. I literally cannot think of a logical explanation for why that subplot was included in this episode. Maybe someone can give me a reason down in the comments below, but to me, it was rubbish, and it stuck out like a sore thumb. Once again, we're spending precious screen time on character development for characters that are only going to make this one appearance in the series. Why? Not one person watching gave a shit about them. Why would they? Because at the beginning of the episode, you had them hell-bent on cannibalizing the TARDIS. The other thing that was a gigantic disappointment for me was that they missed a tremendous opportunity here to pay homage to the original series. Now, I know they did a few sprinkles here and there. Some voices from the original series when the guy opens up the console. A few brief flashes of the swimming pool when Clara's running down the corridor. But that's about it. What pisses me off is that this episode was advertised as a story set in the TARDIS. The Doctor's wife wasn't advertised as a story set in the TARDIS, and it did a better job of exploring the TARDIS interior. At least that episode had Amy and Rory stumble into a previous console room, You couldn't even do that in this episode? And then the self-destruct sequence on the TARDIS ends up not being enough drama for this episode. Apparently the salvage crew caused a crack in time when they salvaged the TARDIS, so now it's bleeding out the past and the future. So now, with only 15 minutes left, we have that issue to resolve as well. There is one tiny plot hole in this episode that I feel is definitely worth mentioning in my review. The book about the Time War. Okay, the Doctor is the only survivor of the war. So, naturally, he would have to be the author of the book, correct? So, why would the Doctor write a book about the Time War and then include his real name in the text? In the 10th Doctor episode, The End of Time, there's a meeting between Lord Rassilon and several other Time Lords. This meeting is taking place on Gallifrey during the war. Several of them specifically call him the Doctor. They didn't call him by his real name, and the Doctor never calls himself by his real name. So even if there was the remote possibility that someone outside the effects of the war decided to write a book about it, how would they know what the Doctor's real name is? Because it was never spoken during the war. I can't really think of anything else except for that reset button ending, which was just a convenient way of tidying up that messy story in the last 5 minutes. I guess it was an okay episode, but seeing how I'm still on the fence about it, I'm going to have to say 5 out of 10. And that's still being rather generous considering the opportunity that they deliberately missed. If you like this review, be sure to subscribe. I post a new video every week reviewing the latest episodes of Doctor Who. I also have written reviews of all the new episodes since Rose in my blog right here. Be sure to like this video, share it with all of your Whovian buddies on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, StumbledUpon, etc. I guess, seeing how I'm still on the fence about this episode, I'm going to have to say 5 out of 10. And I still think that's being very generous, considering the opportunity